Hello viewers, I Nishant Sharma welcome you all to part 2 of the topic sources of business finance of the subject business studies. So in part first we have already discussed the meaning of business finance and some of the major sources of business finance. So the content which was to be covered in part 1 and part 2 included meaning, nature and importance of business finance. Then we started with the classification of various sources of business finance and alongside we started discussing merits and limitations of these sources. And now we will continue with the sources of finance. Also, we will discuss the international sources of business finance and examine the factors that affect the choice of an appropriate source of finance. So the next source of finance that we have is the issue of shares, and shares can be of two types. We can either have the preference shares or we can have equity shares. So starting with the preference shares, let us first understand the meaning of preference shares. So preference shares are the shares which carry some preferential right either in respect of dividend or at the time of return of capital. There can be various types of preference shares. For example, we may have convertible and non-convertible preference shares. We may have cumulative and non-cumulative preference shares, participating and non-participating preference shares, and we may also have redeemable and irredeemable preference shares. So convertible preference shares are the ones which can be converted to equity shares at the time of their maturity. These shares which cannot be converted to other form of securities, say equity shares, are non-convertible preference shares. If we talk of cumulative preference shares, these shares are the ones on which if dividend is not paid by the company in any 1 year, the dividend gets accumulated until it is paid off by the company. However, in case of non-cumulative preference shares, if the company does not declare dividend in any one particular year, then the right of dividend is lost in that year. If we talk of participating and non-participating preference shares, so shares which are participating in nature, they participate in the excess profit of the company either at the time of distribution of dividend or at the time of return of capital. So if company has already paid preference dividend and equity dividend, thereafter also it is left with some profit which it needs to distribute as dividend. Even in that excess profit, the first preferential treatment will be given to the participating preference shares. However, if these shares are non-participating, they do not enjoy any such preferential treatment in excess profit of the company. If we talk of redeemable and irredeemable preference shares, I must tell you now a company cannot issue irredeemable preference shares. All these shares which are issued by the company, if they are preference shares, are redeemable. The maximum maturity period can be of 20 years except in case of infrastructural companies which are permitted to raise funds through issuance of preference shares with a maturity period of more than 20 years also subject to certain conditions. Now if we talk of the merits of preference shares as a source of finance, then firstly for a company the funds are available at a fixed cost because the dividend of preference shares is fixed. Also, it does not affect the control of the equity shareholders because preference shareholders do not get any voting right or as such a direct say in the management of the company. Then preference share capital also does not create any charge against the assets of the company, and because the payment of dividend to preference shareholders is fixed, after that fixed payment of dividend whatever amount is left, that amount is meant to be distributed as dividend to the equity shareholders. So the possibility is that equity shareholders will get more dividend in comparison to preference shareholders. If we talk of the limitations of the preference shares, then it is somewhat a limitation to earn money for those investors, those who are open to assume risk and want to invest in equity shares. Also, for an investor, there is no guarantee that preference shareholders are going to generate return, because if in a particular year company decides not to distribute dividend, then the shareholders may not get any dividend. Also, from the company's perspective, there is no tax saving on the amount of preference dividend paid to the shareholders, unlike in case of interest which is paid on loan or debentures. Then coming to the second type of shares, which are equity shares. So how do we define equity shares? We say that equity shares are the shares which are not preference shares. So they do not enjoy any preferential treatment in comparison to other shareholders. But these equity shareholders are regarded as the owner of the company and they have direct say in the management of the company because they enjoy voting right in the company. If we talk of the merits of equity share capital, then firstly there are chances of capital appreciation to the shareholders. If you purchase a share, say for example for rupees 100, you may sell it in the stock market for 200. So there is a possibility of capital appreciation. Then the shareholders enjoy limited liability because the amount of liability is limited to the amount invested in the company. Then these shares are highly liquid because they are traded in the stock market and they do not create any charge against any asset of the company. But if we talk of the limitations, then dividends, however, are there but are not guaranteed. Reason being, dividends are distributed only if company earns profit, and if company decides not to distribute dividend, it can do so. Then the shares are highly risky because if there are possibilities of capital appreciation, there is a possibility of capital depreciation as well. And since equity shareholders are very huge in numbers and they all participate in the process of decision making, sometimes they may indulge into conflict with each other, and this may give rise to conflicting situations in the organization. Coming over to the next source of finance, which is debenture. A debenture is actually a debt instrument through which company can raise long-term finance in terms of loan. Now, debentures can be of four types. Firstly, we can have convertible and non-convertible debentures. So, debentures which can be converted to some other form of security, maybe to equity shares, are convertible debentures, and the debentures which are not to be converted at the time of maturity into other security, say equity shares, are non-convertible debentures. Then if we talk of secured and unsecured debentures, secured debentures are the ones against which a particular charge has been created. They are secured against the assets of the company. Whereas unsecured debentures do not have a particular security and they are not secured against a particular asset of the company. Registered debentures are the debentures which are registered in the name of a specific investor, and bearer debentures are the ones which are not registered in the name of a specific individual or organization or person, and they are transferable merely by delivery. If we talk of first and second debentures, so if there are number of debentures and classes of debentures available with the company, the debentures which are to be paid first are known as the first debentures, and the debentures which are to be paid after the first debentures are known as the second debentures. Then if we talk of the merits and limitations of debentures as a source of finance, then firstly it is preferred by those investors who want a fixed income with a lesser risk. Also, because debentures do not carry any voting right, they do not directly participate in the management of the company, and therefore the control of the equity shareholders is not diluted. Then financing through debentures is comparatively less costly because company has certain control over them. Also, the amount of interest which is paid on these debentures is tax deductible, unlike in case of preference shareholders. If we talk of the limitations, then because debentures are usually secured, they create a charge against the profit, and the interest payment is also guaranteed to the debenture holders. So even if company does not earn any profit in any particular year, amount of interest has to be paid to the investors. Then coming over to the next source of finance, which is commercial bank, and maybe the most traditional and easily available source of finance. So what banks do is they extend loans to firms of all sizes and in different ways. Like they can offer cash credits, they may offer overdraft facility, they may also offer term loans, and as we discussed in the beginning of the session, in the beginning of the lecture, then they also offer the services of discounting of bills. Now, generally these loans are issued for a short to medium period of time, and the borrower is however required to furnish some guarantee or security for these loans. If we discuss the merits of commercial banks as a source of finance, then banks usually very timely provide the assistance as and when the need is felt by the business organization. Also, the confidential information which is provided by the business organization to the banks, this information is kept confidential by the bank also. If we talk of the limitations, then these funds are usually available for a short or max to max a medium period of time. Also, before granting of any loan, banks will make sure that the person is credit worthy and will make a thorough investigation into the affairs of the company, into the financial structure of the company, and to make sure that the funds are adequately protected, may also insist upon the security of some asset, and may also insist upon the personal guarantees of the borrower. Then coming over to the next source of finance, which is financial institution or special financial institutions. So these institutions are established by the government, either the central government or state government, or in collaboration with both the governments. And this source of financing is considered to be most suitable when large funds are to be raised for comparatively a longer duration of time. For example, if a business organization needs to indulge into expansion, reorganization and modernization of the business, then financial institutions may come to a rescue. These financial institutions are also known as development banks or development financial institutions. For example, LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, GIC and UTI. And as I stated in the beginning of this financial institutions, that long-term financing is provided in terms of loans. Also, these financial institutions may subscribe to the securities of the company. If we discuss the merits of financial institutions as a source of finance, then firstly they provide loans for comparatively a longer period of time, which may not be offered by the commercial banks, and the repayment can be made in easy installments. Also, these funds, because they are to be repaid back in easy installments, may not necessarily create a burden for the business. Then, in situations like recession or depression, when other sources of finance may not be available, financial institutions may still be willing to provide funds to the business organization. So when commercial banks are not in a position to provide finance to the business organization, financial institution may still be able to provide funds or finance to the business organization. If we talk of the limitations of financial institutions, then firstly, these financial institutions follow a very rigid criteria before they grant any loan or any amount of money to any business organization. There are too many formalities, there are too many compliances, and sometimes these formalities, procedures and compliances prove to be really time consuming and expensive. Also, because these financial institutions usually grant very huge amount of loan to business organizations, therefore in order to make sure that the funds are adequately protected, they may insist upon that one of their nominees to be included on the board of the company, which may somewhat compromise the decision making power of the company. Coming over to the next source, which is intercorporate deposits. So these deposits are made by one company with another company for a shorter period of time, and these are known as ICDs or intercorporate deposits. There can be three types of ICDs or intercorporate deposits. Firstly, we can have call deposits, which can be withdrawn by making a call of one day, and they usually carry a 10% rate of interest. Then there can be 3 months deposits, which can be raised for a period of 3 months and carry a rate of interest 12% per annum. And thirdly, we can have 6 months deposits for a period of 6 months and carry a rate of interest which is 15% per annum. Then coming over to the last source of financing, international financing, which further has 3 parts. So we have commercial banks, we have international agencies and development banks, and we also have international capital markets. So just like a business organization could borrow funds from Indian commercial banks, they can also borrow funds from international commercial banks operating within India or outside India. Then secondly, we may have international agencies and development banks, for example, International Finance Corporation, Exim Bank and Asian Development Bank, which may be willing to provide international financing to business organizations. Then thirdly and lastly, we have international capital markets, wherein a business organization may raise funds through issuance of global depository receipts or American depository receipts. So global depository receipts are the receipts which are issued by an Indian firm to foreigners if they want to raise money from foreign markets. If the receipts are meant for any market other than American market, they are known as global depository receipts, and if the receipts are specific to US markets, they are known as American depository receipts. These shares against these depository receipts are kept in the custody of a custodian bank, and the depository receipts in the foreign market is issued by the foreign bank. Depository receipt holders are not the shareholders of the company, therefore they do not get any voting right in the company, but they do enjoy the dividend which is distributed by the company on annual basis or otherwise. Then lastly, we have foreign currency convertible bonds, which can be compared with the convertible debentures which are issued in India. So these foreign currency convertible bonds are actually equity linked debt securities which can be converted into equity shares or into depository receipts after a specific period of time. These FCCBs or foreign currency convertible bonds are issued in a foreign currency, and they carry a fixed interest rate which generally is lower than the rate of interest of any other similar non-convertible debt instrument. So the last topic that we have in this chapter is the factors affecting the choice of the source of funds. Now these funds can be impacted by various factors. For example, cost, the risk profile, the control, flexibility and use, and tax benefits. So if there are two different sources available, the business organization is suggested to go with a source which is comparatively cheaper. So the costlier sources are to be avoided and the cheaper sources are to be resorted to. If we talk of the financial strength and stability of the operations, so if the business organization has comparatively stable operations, it may go for sources of finance which may require stable outflow of expenses. For example, debentures, because if an organization is not stable in its operations, it may not be able to honor the fixed charges which are to be paid as interest on the debentures. Then if we talk of the form of business organization, so there are certain business organizations which may resort to one form of business finance but may not be able to access the other sources of business finance. For example, a sole proprietor or a partnership firm may not be in a position to issue debentures or equity shares or preference shares, whereas a company form of business organization is very comfortable in raising funds through issue of equity shares, preference shares or debentures. Then if we talk of the purpose and time period, so if the time horizon is very wide, for example, if the period is infinite, the suggested mode is issue of equity shares to finance your business organization's need. But if the time period is finite and is very limited, then the organization may resort to bank loans or commercial papers, or may also issue debentures if the period is 10 to 20 years or even more. If we talk of the risk profile of the organization, so if the company wants to avoid risk of failure of the repayment, then the company may better resort to equity shares, because equity shares are not to be repaid back during the lifetime of the company. But if the company is in a position that it can avoid the risk and is in a very stable position, it may resort to debentures, because the payment of debenture has to be made after a specific period of time. If we talk of control and the company is not in a position or does not want to dilute the control of the existing shareholders of the company, company may not resort to issue of further equity shares. However, if the company is open to dilute the control, it may issue equity shares also. If we talk of credit worthiness of the organization, so there are two types of credit which may be available to a business organization: secured credit and unsecured credit. Secured credit may be in the terms of debentures, and if a company issues secured debentures, this may not go down well with the unsecured creditor, because this jeopardizes their interest. So in future, unsecured creditors may not be willing to extend further credit to the business organization. Then if we talk of tax benefits, then there are certain sources which offer tax advantages in comparison to others. For example, preference shares and equity shares dividend are not tax deductible. But if the same amount is raised through issue of debentures, then the amount of interest which is paid on the debentures is tax deductible. So an organization which wants to reap the benefit of tax deduction may resort to debentures, otherwise it may resort to some other form of business finance. And with this, part 2 of the chapter sources of business finance of the subject business study comes to an end. Thank you so much for watching and staying with us. Have a great day ahead.